we're extremely lucky to have him here today. And he is, just to read a little bit of his bio, he's a retired chiropractor, certified acupuncturist, and nutritionist. He is married to his beautiful wife, Jane, and they live here in Dallas, along with their 8 children. The Ardis Healing Center of the Smokies was opened and served thousands of patients in the East Tennessee region. But in 2009, we were very lucky that Dr. Ardis left his Tennessee practice and opened a second clinic here in Frisco. And so he managed his clinic in Frisco until about 2018, when he sold the practice to Dr. Tergelis, so that he could really focus on research and education. And boy, are we lucky that he is. He is fearless, he is vocal, and he is very well backed by scientific information. As he says to us all the time, don't listen to me, go look it up. So we are extremely happy to have Dr. Ardis here with us today, and I would love to have you help me welcome him to the stage.
I don't know.
Oh, don't worry about it then.
Awesome, great. Howdy, everybody. How are you? Good. I almost want to make all y'all come up here and sit in these first 5 rows and be a big buddy. It'll be awesome. All right, this is my son Blaze. He's over here. He's 12. Everybody say hi to that kid. And he's going to come up here. All right, come here, Blaze. All right, so I've been asked to come up here and talk about EMFs and how they can contribute to the acceleration or the beginning stages of something that starts with a C. I've been told not to say it. I'm not really sure, because it's a constellation in the sky, why I can't say it. But anyway, it's pretty funny. All right, I will leave it at that. We're going to talk about EMFs and how they actually impact the human body. So what I did is I asked my kid, Blaze, to come up here. And I'm going to ask a question. And then anybody who answers the question correctly, he's going to throw out, as a 12-year-old, something fun for you, okay? Now, there's lights up here, so he's not going to really throw it too high. He might walk over to you and throw it 2 feet from you. But last week was our Healing for the Ages conference. We had 600 people, literally standing room only. And it was incredible. We had thousands online. And I decided to do this at the beginning of my presentation with 600 people in this big old ballroom. And it was really fun to have my older teenage kids chucking footballs 100 yards in the back of this room. It was really fun. All right, so Blaze is not going to be doing that. But I'm going to ask a question. He's got about 15 to 20 of these things, and I want to know, anybody out there can tell me what's an example of a device or a technology that can contribute to exposing you and your body to EMF radiation? Hold up. There's not going to be too many people that aren't going to get one of these in this room, so just raise your hand, and Blaze, I will tell you when they're right. Okay, go. Cell phone, that is one, yes. She gets one, Blaze. Go over there. Get her one. Yes. Computers, yes.
Microwave.
Yes. Microwaves. There's one in the back. Smart meters. What's a smart meter? Anybody know? It's really smart. It's usually sitting on the opposite side of your headboard on your house, right outside your bedroom. It's a smart meter is, for those who don't know. No longer do men are being paid or women to go out and actually read the meter of your utilities and electricity. So now they have Wi-Fi connected smart meters that can just send it to them digitally because everybody got lazy. We don't have toll booth people taking your change anymore. What do we have? Radar guns, cameras. We'll just mail it to you. It's much cheaper than paying taxes for employees and giving people jobs. All right, next thing. Routers, Wi-Fi routers, absolutely. There's one. Yes. Apple Watches, for sure. That's another one. Anybody else? TVs, yes. Just so y'all know, anything that says smart on it, smart TVs, smart whatever, doesn't matter, smart thermostats now. Those are all producing EMF radiation. Okay. Household wiring, yes. Blaze over there too, buddy. Way in the back. Baby monitors, absolutely yes. What's that? Bluetooth? You better believe it. In fact, there's a whole book written about Bluetooth. A guy named Kenneth Spears wrote a book. Everybody's been trying to figure out if what they were doing with these COVID-19 vaccines was actually the mark of the beast or not, right? I mean, there's a lot of talks about that. Just so you know, the symbol of the Bluetooth, do y'all know what that symbol is? You know what it looks like. Straight line, looks like a B. Do you know that's 2 Nordic letters from the Nordic language? The actual straight line is the tree. That's what that means. And the actual 3 backwards, shaped like a triangle, 2 triangles, that actually represents the serpent, a snake. So that's a snake in the tree. The Bluetooth technology is how they are going to actually mark you and how it is they're going to track you, influence you, and control you. So the Bluetooth technology, there's a whole book on it. You can read it by Kenneth Spears. I've interviewed him over his book, and he published this in 2020, actually, wanting to warn the world what it is truly is the mark of the beast, and it's everything Bluetooth. All right, and yes, Bluetooth is an EMF issue. Okay, next, go. I'm sorry. Are you talking about radio towers or cell phone towers? 1,000,000%. She gets like 2 of those prizes. All right, 5G radiation towers, yes. All right, what else put off EMFs? Yes. Oh man, yes, electric car batteries. In fact, it's not just the batteries. We've actually tested Teslas when you turn them on and get inside of them and tested how much EMFs are being exposed to. And in fact, Dr. Henry Ely, a part of the Healing for the Ages team, as he filmed it, videoed it, and then we shared it with the world at our Memorial Day weekend virtual solutions summit, all about EMFs. And on Memorial Day weekend, y'all can go get the replays. You should get it. He actually got in the car, and when the readings on the EMF reader skyrocketed, the exact words out of his mouth was, "This is a death trap." That's what he said. Okay, next. Don't freak out if you got a Tesla. I'm going to tell you how to handle it, because I saw a bunch out in the parking lot. They are not mine, but whoever's got them, I'll tell you how to handle it. This is my wife, Jane. Everybody say hi. She's the one that's made sure I'm getting around the world and I'm still fed. She's the one that goes, turn off the computer, come to bed, shut the laptop, here's your food, now eat it. Okay, good. Hi, honey. Anything else? Oh, yeah, solar panels. Amen. Anything else? EMFs.
Sonic hair toothbrushes.
That's a dentist. Anybody here love Sonic Care toothbrushes? Let's put a motor in your mouth. My wife does. She loves them. Honey, talk to the dentist later. Okay. All right, anything else that puts off EMFs? TVs, yep, we already said that. But yes, TVs are right. Let's do it. Let's give him a prize. But we're going to shrink the TV down to something about this big and about this thin that you can put in your lap, and every kid in a restaurant I watch has headphones and is watching. What is that? An iPad, right? It's just a little mini TV, okay? What else? Hearing aids. Yeah, they're very good. Ear pods or AirPods, whatever they want to call them. Absolutely. What else? Yes, outlets, thank you. Yes, I did a whole presentation on outlets. And what they found was, oh, he's got one more left. E-cigarettes, I've never looked at that, but probably. Did you have something? What is that? Computer monitors. Oh, 1,000,000%, yes. All right, well, that's the last one, at least for football purposes. What about airplanes? What about going in the air? Yeah, okay, so there's tons of them. All right, so there's a lot of information about EMF, so I just want to define some things for you because there's probably stuff you don't know, and it's stuff that I've learned in the last year and a half, actually. So EMF stands for electromagnetic frequency. So everything puts off an electromagnetic frequency, and any of you that's ever seen a picture or drawing of the Earth, and you'll see these magnet poles going around it, or you've ever seen a picture of a magnet and they draw the North and South Pole fields, that's what we're talking about. These are electromagnetic fields that we are having added exposure to our body. Now, if I had a trophy here to give away as a prize, whoever can answer this one would get it. So, whoever answers this, I will consider there's 5 signed copies of a book I just wrote and released. And in fact, it doesn't actually start shipping till next week, but I brought a few of them here. And they're going to be given away as a raffle. But whoever answers this question should get one. But I'm going to leave it up to the organizers. All right, so there is actually a term that scientists use to measure the amount of toxic EMFs that are absorbed in your body as a human. And they can measure it. They know how much EMFs are absorbed from a cell phone. They know how much EMFs are absorbed from a thermostat. They know how much is absorbed from a smart meter within a certain distance on your house. They know how much is absorbed from an iPad, a computer, a smart TV within a distance and time you're standing in front of it or exposed to it. Can someone tell me the abbreviation, an acronym that they actually call it, is the measurement of toxic EMFs inside your body? Can you tell me what the acronym is for that measurement that they physically know how to measure? No. Voltage is what he said? No. I was shocked, and no one else knew this when I presented this at the Memorial Day Virtual Solution Summit. And by the way, if y'all really want to know about EMFs, you can go to healingfortheages.com and actually purchase that entire 12-hour, 9-hour stuff we presented, and you get all the PowerPoint presentations we laid out for everybody. They all come into your email, or you can log in and actually download them. You get everything in there, and all the solutions to them too. Anybody know what that acronym is? The toxic level of radiation you get, called EMFs, from your devices, 5G radiation towers, cell phones, iPads, you name it, that they know they're creating and you're being exposed to and buying into and are addicted to, they have a measurement. It's actually called SARS, S-A-R-S. And it stands for specific. It's really weird that they spell it out, SARS, S-A-R-S. Because it's actually it's S-A-R-S for the multiple amounts of radiations, but it stands for specific energy absorption rate. They just don't include the E. Isn't that weird? But they call it SARS in all their papers. SARS. So I showed that at the Virtual Solution Summit. So when our buddy Donald Trump signed Operation Warp Speed, do you know what he signed at the exact same moment on his desk? Did you know there was 2 operations signed at this exact same moment? He had a huge old document, Operation Warp Speed, I want vaccines in 9 months. Or else, FDA. But that's never been done before. It doesn't matter, you're going to do it. And he was very proud about bullying the FDA to get this done. But at the exact same moment, he signed another operation, literally titled Operation. I don't know if y'all know this, but operations are what? They're military operations. Okay? Operation Warp Speed, military operation. Operation Telecommunications was the other one. And do you know what that ensured? That in the first year of 2020, 5G towers would be within 25 miles of every human in America in the year 2020. So then, just so you know, I'm not going to hate on Donald Trump. Eric Trump actually invited me to come meet his dad in October in Mar-a-Lago with about 50 other people. So I have a lot of questions for him that he has refused to answer. 5 times he's been requested to meet with me by people in his home, and he has said no every time for the last 4 years. So I told Eric the other day, I said, just so you know, your dad's going to say no again. Just so you know, I know this is a ploy for the election, but if it happens, I can't wait. I've got like 1 billion questions. And his answer was, just so you know, you can't bring a cell phone onto the property. I don't care. It's all up here. If you haven't watched me for the last 4 years, almost anything I hear, read, see, it just stays there until I vomit it on top of you. So you know what it is. So we're going to find out, just so you know, I'm not saying there's anything nefarious. I'm just telling you there was 2 operations signed in 2020 by our president. And the telecommunications one, why do you think it was so important that they made sure 5G towers went up when all of you were about to be locked down? What would be the reason? I mean, you get to surmise. I didn't sign it. He hasn't told me or anybody else why he did it. So I would like to know. I want you to know that Dr. Ed Group, that's a part of my Healing for the Ages team, was actually a part of the original COVID-19 task force under Donald Trump's administration, and they were all there at the White House when he signed those documents. All 27 of those people quit that COVID task force because they couldn't reconcile the 5G operation telecommunications. They couldn't figure out why that they were doing that. There was nothing but, it just felt weird and odd to them. So I just want y'all to know, is that odd to you that it's called SARS? Do you find that odd? What were y'all told SARS was? No, you were told that a little 4-inch bat in a cave in China coughed and made the whole world sick. And any of you that wore a mask and stood 6 feet apart from other people during those last 4 years, you bought it hook, line, and sinker. And it was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my entire life. In fact, they said at first, they were like, well, actually, it was a bat that coughed on a pangolin, and then that pangolin coughed on a human. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, what's a pangolin? And I had to look it up, and I was like, I've never seen a creature like that in my whole life. How many humans see this creature? I've never even seen one on pictures, never heard of this thing. Well, did you hear what the CDC said 4 months ago? They actually figured out what the origin source of COVID was and admitted what it was. They said it was a raccoon dog. Y'all ever seen one of those? I'd never seen one of those either. I had to look it up. Oh my God, this mysterious rare creature coughed on the whole world. Amazing. Don't fall for that crap. All right. Let's dive into EMFs now. You've got some sources here. There's reasons why I brought up telecommunications, why I will talk about that. The 5G towers were massively important to make sure you got sick. And I'm going to tell you how it works. How many of you have heard that I've been called the remdesivir guy around the world? I mean, I'm literally known as the remdesivir guy all around the world. That's a drug, COVID-19. During COVID-19, Anthony Fauci said it was the only drug that can be given to American citizens. And then Medicare decided to incentivize all hospitals to make sure the hospitals got a 20% add-on bonus to the whole bill if they would just do that to Medicare-age people. And remdesivir was found the year before COVID. In the only trial they had before COVID for a virus, they found it killed 53% of everybody they gave it to. That made me angry. So that's why I actually hired a publicist and went into the media from my home here in Plano. I was just pissed and angry and had no idea where it would fall, whose ears it would fall on. But I know 3 months earlier, Jane's dad was killed in the hospital here in front of me. And I was kicked out of that hospital by security, threatened, and they would not talk to me. And then convinced and bullied and coerced and gaslit my wife's family to reduce his pain and suffering by giving him 4 hours of dosing of morphine. And do you know what they call that? Palliative care. Just so you know, you ever taken a dog or cat to a vet because it's time to put it down? That is palliative care. For your animal, you're going to end its suffering. And they just use these words to cover up that they're about to bill your insurance hundreds of thousands of dollars, poisoning your loved one in front of you, lying to you that they're just reducing their pain and suffering when they know the drugs in that cocktail paralyze your brain's ability to control your diaphragm to contract and your heart to beat, and you will die. And they know exactly the dosing, and they know how long it's going to take, and you're going to die. For remdesivir, it was 9 days, which is why the NIH approved 2 5-day treatments of remdesivir. That equals 10 days. 99% of everybody that died on remdesivir was on day 9. They already know this. They've already tested it in mammals, humans. They already know what the toxic dose is that's going to end the life of the average-sized human. And then they just lie to you. We're going to help save your life from a respiratory virus. We're going to reduce your loved one's suffering pain. Now, it's not that you don't want to reduce your loved one's suffering or pain, but that's not what they're telling you. It's called murder for hire, people. And it's really disgusting. So you got the telecommunications in 2020. 5G towers going up. The second thing I'm literally world-renowned known for, and I didn't care, is I'm called the snake venom guy everywhere I go. Has anybody heard any related info about COVID-19 and its relationship to snake venom? Okay. Well, just so you know, there's not a single symptom, not a single medical diagnosis that is called now and defined by our government as long COVID. They just published a document this year summarizing the hundreds of symptoms that are now called long COVID. By definition, that is anything you are suffering from. If anybody had a case of COVID And for months or years after recovering, you still have all these lingering problems. That, by the way, has never in history has ever been seen in a coronavirus infection, which is common colds. Have you guys ever heard of a common cold virus? Anybody ever had a common cold? Any of you ever had years long of suffering after you got over that 2 to 3 day cold? Well, how come all of a sudden that's happening? Well, I just want y'all to know. In the book I just wrote, it's actually called Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies and Restoring Health and Hope for Humanity. That book, in chapter 14, I go through that government's document they just came out with this year, and then I put in that chapter 3 research studies that were published during the pandemic. Every single one of them that were published by our government during the pandemic are actually titled Long-Term Health Effects After a Snake Bite. One of the 3 is mental health issues long-term after a snake bite. By the way, not 50% of long COVID symptoms in the government's document are also snake venom. It's not 50% of them are snake venom side effects published by our government to be long-term side effects. It's not 90% of all long COVID ones. Read chapter 14, I'll show you. It's 100% of all long COVID patients suffering are exactly published long-term side effects of snake venom in the human body. 100%. So anybody out there, anybody know anybody suffering with issues since COVID? Any new people diagnosed with diabetes they didn't have before since 2020? Anybody now diagnosed with cancer that you've ever heard of? I mean, I really don't think anybody is not affected by cancer right now. I think somebody knows somebody, has a friend, has a relative, someone in their family who now is being diagnosed with cancer. Who still has loss of taste and smell? Depression. Did y'all know that psychiatric ward admissions are actually higher now than they've ever been in history in America? Nobody's talking about that but CNN this last week, which I found interesting. This was my whole presentation for Healing for the Ages. CNN just published that for the next decade, there is one industry that will have 3 times the growth of jobs over all other jobs in America. 3 times growth in the next 10 years. No other job or industry will grow as fast. Do you know what it is? Mental health workers. Did you know that long COVID includes schizophrenia, delusions, hallucinations, depression, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, bipolarism, suicide, homicide? Did you know this? And did you know those are all published side effects of snake venom after a snake bite? Psychosis. I don't know if you saw this, an EMT in Florida just a few weeks ago, reported on social media, seen by millions. He gets a call to a house in Florida, gets there, and the parents are in the front yard screaming, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. They bring the EMT in. When they get inside, they walk into a bathroom, and when they get to the door of the bathroom, there's a teenager who is standing in a mirror. It's the kid of these 2 parents, yelling and screaming frantically in the front yard. This kid has needle and thread, and he is sewing his mouth shut, sewing his lip to the other lip, and he's halfway done. When he looks at the paramedic who's yelling at him to put down the needle and thread, he looks at him, and then the EMT realizes he's already sewn shut one of his eyelid with needle and thread all by himself. And when the EMTs are yelling at him to put down the needle and stop doing it, he just looks at them and just goes back to continuing sewing shut. No words, no nothing, just sewing his mouth shut. When they actually restrain him and put him onto a table to get him to stop harming himself, the guy said, "I'm almost done. I just have one more eye to go." Now, he writes in this little social media post that he is seeing stuff like this only since the COVID-19 vaccines came out, and somebody needs to start talking about this. This is called a psychotic break, psychosis. Okay, just so you know, psychosis, by definition, means the individual will often harm themselves but are not a threat to other people. I mean, they define it that way. Guess where that action is defined? In the long COVID document and in every snake venom envenomation long-term side effects. At the end of the social media post, and I highlighted it this weekend at Healing for the Ages, I said he quotes Dr. Ryan Cole. Does anybody know who Dr. Ryan Cole is? He's a pathologist out of Idaho. He was the guy that came out during COVID. He was like, He's a dear friend, actually, but he came out talking about the state capitol building in Idaho early on during 2020 that COVID is not a bat virus problem, it's a vitamin D deficiency. Just take more vitamin D and you'll be fine. He's a Mayo-trained pathologist. But this guy quoted him at the bottom of his social media post before he shows the picture of the needle and bloody thread that he took out of the guy's mouth so he could breathe in the ambulance. And Ryan Cole's quote was, "You don't find what you're not looking for." And this EMT's plea was, when are we going to start looking at what's really the cause of all these mental health issues that we're seeing as EMTs being called to help? My response to that quote was, when the hell is the medical profession going to wake up and look at what I've been telling you to look at for the last 3 years, Ryan Cole? I said, I don't want to find out 3 years later that you guys figured out that I was right. There's going to be a whole lot of people that are going to be institutionalized, put on drugs for the rest of their life, because every single study I show in that chapter is the symptoms you're having, the symptoms your loved ones have, still right now, or that will develop after having COVID. I'm telling you, they're coming. They actually publish your symptoms will last 12.7 to 14 years. It takes that long for your body to degrade the venom on its own. Well, in that 12 to 14 years, how many drugs for every condition we just talked about can be prescribed? And every person that comes in with those issues, do you think your medical doctors or psychiatrist is going to tell you, oh, this is related to COVID? No, they're not. They're going to go like this. Same thing they've done for decades. You now have high blood pressure, Mary? Yeah, you think it was since COVID? Yes. Well, I'm looking at your intake form, and you have listed here that your mom and dad had high blood pressure. This is genetic. And now that person's going to be put on lisinopril, for example, for the rest of their life, being told it's a genetic problem, when in fact, if they sat back and just struggled, I don't want them to struggle with their high blood pressure, their body would actually degrade over a 12 to 14 year period all the venom, and then the high blood pressure would go back to normal. I don't want you waiting that long. That's why I wrote the book, because in chapter 15, I tell you all the medical tests and all the solutions for every venom protein they use called COVID. All of them, 100%. I don't want people struggling that long. I don't want people institutionalized before they knew there was an actual reason for their suffering. So now let's get back to, so when I say the snake venom guy, I'm the snake venom guy. I'm also been called something else. And I said this before the snake venom title was, crowned for me. And it was the nicotine guy. Anybody heard me talk about nicotine yet? Okay, so there's a research facility in Spain. They have done incredible work for 4 years. Anybody heard of something called graphene oxide in the COVID-19 shots? Okay. So this research group out of Spain, they're called La Quinta Columba. They're the first ones that analyzed those shots and were like, oh my God, there's a super high amount of something called graphene oxide. And everywhere we look up graphene oxide, this metal is highly conductive, it can self-assemble, and it says it's an assist to make you a part of what the government calls the Internet of Things. They are literally trying to connect you to every satellite and device around the world that they can track. Just so y'all know, they already hooked millions of you to buy into this technology, and you're wearing it every day on your watch called an Apple Watch. You know how it's tracking your biometrics? Oh, I can see my pulse, my heart rate, my whatever. You guys bought that, and guess who else can see it? Do you really think it's only on your phone? I mean, on your watch? You don't think Apple has access to your biometrics? Oh, no. That graphene oxide is a big deal. Well, La Quinta Columba, 3 weeks ago, sent out a 3-minute clip, and you can look it up on social media. If you haven't seen it, it was seen by millions and millions and millions in like 2 days. It got sent to me from all over the world. I didn't even watch it because I've seen so many of their research stuff, I didn't know what they were talking about, and I was busy getting ready for my conference, finishing up the book and all that good stuff. But I just want y'all to know, y'all can look it up. Look up La Quinta Columba, look up Rafa Calvin, R-A-F-A Calvin, C-A-L-V-I-N. He's the researcher. There's only 2 names they mention in this 3-minute clip seen by millions, and it's Rafa Calvin, the researcher, and Dr. Bryan Ardis. And what they say is, we decided to do an experiment because this guy, Dr. Bryan Ardis, keeps saying relentlessly for 3 years now that nicotine is a cure for all things COVID. Well, finally, a research group decided to test it. which was exciting. And they show in a 3-minute clip what they did. And I was just talking to Dr. Tony over here, biological dentist. I said, did you see that clip yet? And the reason why I told her up on the stairs is what they did was they took dental anesthetics. You know, they numb your mouth with to do procedures, clean out debris, infections, whatever. Take out a tooth, drill a root canal. They took these dental anesthetics and they busted open one of the vials and opened it and allowed all the water to evaporate over 30 days. So they just left it out and let all the water disappear. Then they put the contents underneath the microscope and they wanted to see what it was. And they filmed the whole thing video-wise, everything that was in that little vial. And there are thousands of little microchips, like little circuits you would see in your phone if you opened it. Little computer hard drive, you'll see these little bitty microchips. There's thousands of them. So just so y'all know, if y'all want to know where the dental anesthetic stuff came from, 2 years ago I was in Canada, or a year and a half ago I was in Canada, and somebody brought me, a dentist there goes, I'm really concerned, I have a bad feeling about these, would you please get these tested? And he brought like 6 or 7 different types of anesthetics. I had never even thought about the worries about the dental anesthetics, but we actually had those tested, sent them off to a clinic in Ohio. We actually went there, my wife and I took them, and had them use this German technology to evaluate what was in the shots. And in every single one of them, except for one, was venom and nanotech from different creatures. So there were scorpion venoms in some, snake venoms in some, all kinds of stuff. So, but they did publish in the reports that there was actually nanotech or cadmium, which is a heavy metal, graphene oxide showed up in them. So when I told the world that's what I just did, we just evaluated this thing. A lot of people now were concerned about the dental anesthetics. That was about 2 years ago, and this group decided to test dental anesthetics. The next thing they do in the video is, he says, because of Dr. Bryan Ardis, we actually decided to take organic tobacco leaf and boil it for 10 minutes. And then extract the water solution that would have nicotine in it. And then they're filming it live and video-wise, and they're dropping nicotine, tobacco water, on the slides. And I showed the Healing for the Ages conference this weekend live. I was put up on the screen so everybody can see it. The nicotine literally is swimming through the solution and eats and dissolves all the nanotech. And what La Quinta Columba reports is Dr. Ardis was right 3 years ago that nicotine is the solution to all things COVID, not just the spike proteins of COVID, not just the venom aspect of COVID, not just the venom aspect of the COVID-19 shots, but also the nanotech. And then they said, our next thing now is to take Pfizer and Moderna shots, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to evaporate those for 30 days, and we're going to run the same test. Isn't that exciting? It's very exciting. Okay, so if nicotine dissolves nanotech, which, I did not learn that in chiropractic school, just so you know. Never heard that in my life. But it's very exciting to see things coming to fruition, right? All right, so that's nanotech. How does that fit into these EMF conversation? Because I'm about to tell you. So I'm known as the snake venom guy, the nicotine guy. The nicotine stuff is very exciting for the last 3 weeks. InfoWars and Alex Jones has done reports on this study in the last week. Stu Peters ran a huge thing with me on, he had me on in an hour to do a whole live hour show about this because he felt vindicated after I watched the water documentary. Told the whole world, y'all have all been lied to. It's not a bat virus at all. They're actually using multiple snake venoms around the world that they're exposing you to through water, air, food, you name it, and making you sick and calling it COVID. Every symptom of COVID is a published symptom of neurotoxic snake venom, and they manufacture it all over the world. And before I get too far into the EMFs, I'm just going to let you know what are the 3 primary industries. Can you name them? That they use snake venom in the tons, and I'm talking thousands of tons, every single year, and you didn't know it. In fact, the whole world didn't know it until I told you. So does anybody know where they're using snake venom that they are synthetically manufacturing all around the world? 3 industries. Yep, so that's a big one. So one of the biggest is insecticides. So right now, for example, in England for the last 3 years, Michigan State University and the Department of Defense in America own a patent on scorpion venom being manufactured synthetically and turned into an insecticide. And England now has crop dusters spraying white clouds all over their fields, all over England, as their primary insecticide. Now, what do you think happens when a human or a farmer inhales a cloud of scorpion venom? What do you think what happens when irrigation comes on that farm that has tons of dried scorpion venom all over it? And what happens when you irrigate it? And what happens when it rains? Where do you think the venom's going to go? Into the ground and into your water supply. And then you're going to shower in it. You're going to drink it. The reason why they're using venoms is because scorpions eat what? What do they hunt? They hunt insects. What are they trying to kill? Insects. So when they spray scorpion venom all over those plants, and little bugs and crickets and locusts and whatever else climbs on the plant and starts to eat the leaf, they're going to be eating scorpion venom. And what does it do to insects? It kills it. Well, what's the side effect of scorpion venom? Neurotoxicity, cellular toxicity, and blood toxicity. So anyway, it's just what they're doing. So Monsanto, everybody heard of Monsanto, the company that has patented and owns glyphosate? Monsanto is, you can look it up, NIH has published it. Monsanto is the largest patent library of insecticides made from snake venom, scorpion venom, spider venoms, and wasp venoms. And if you actually look at glyphosate as a molecule and then actually study what its mechanism of action to harm our cells is, it is 1,000% identical to every snake venom protein, scorpion venom protein, and spider venom. In fact, I'm convinced glyphosate is synthetic venom. And why wouldn't I? They've been studying, they have the largest patent in the world library of venoms for insecticides. You don't think they've figured out how to actually manipulate it and create a synthetic form that does the exact same thing? Yeah. Anybody ever eat an orange and get vitamin C out of it? Anybody? Lemon, limes, oranges? Yep, you get vitamin C out of it. Did you know you can get synthetic vitamin C in a supplement? Human beings know how to synthetically make almost everything on earth. And they're doing it with venoms all over. Why is the venom discussion so important? Remember the guy, Dr. Ed Group, I mentioned, who was on that 27-person panel asked by Donald Trump to be on this COVID-19 task force, and they all quit? He was on a program with Alex Jones, InfoWars, in 2018, and then got death threats. Him, Alex, the whole studio, everybody did, and he's never been back on there. In fact, he went into hiding, literally walked away from his business called Global Healing, turned it over to another CEO, and he literally disappeared into his home and didn't talk to anybody. Traveled, did stuff. When he heard my interviews about snake venom, and what his interview was in 2018 was about the transhumanistic movement, where they are literally trying to make us cyborgs, get us to first trust technology attached to all of us, and then you've got Elon Musk, who's now coming out, and everybody sees this guy as a great technology wizard. What is he now saying for the last 5 years? Well, now that we've got all these people used to this technology, they can carry around, we can track each other, mom and dad. Don't you love Life 360, where you can watch wherever your kids go with that phone? Now Elon Musk is talking for 5 years now about the fact that there's this neural link he's developing where people no longer have to talk to each other. We can embed and implant a neural link between your ear, and your thoughts can be projected to the next person. He said within 5 years, he just said this, within 5 years, no humans will have to talk to each other ever again. We can just project our thoughts to each other. Doesn't that sound awesome? Could you imagine being like the popcorn kid at a movie theater and you walk in there and there's no sound? It's just being linked into their brain. There's no sound whatsoever, no bass, no speakers, no nothing. Everybody's just projecting stuff into your brain. Anyway, they've convinced you this is great, and you're all falling in love with it, and they are grooming you to trust them with all of their technology. And you're all loving it. Most of us are loving it. We're like, man, we can't get enough of this tech. We love it, we love it, we love it. Just remember, the acronym for the toxicity your government is tracking, the Department of Energy, is called SARS. And y'all have been listening to this SARS acronym for 4 years now. They are tracking what they're doing to you. And then you should probably study what's called NEXRAD, N-E-X-R-A-D. And if you're not following NEXRAD, you need to keep track of NEXRAD. Anybody know what NEXRAD is? Good, I'm teaching you stuff. So military personnel all around the world have been like keeping us up to date on this NEXRAD stuff. You got to watch it. Okay, so follow NEXRAD. This is a government operation, by the way. How many of you remember about 5-6 months ago, there was this aurora borealis everybody could see in America? We were actually on a flight. We were flying from one place to another, and all the pilots announcing you can see aurora borealis for the first time in St. Louis. and in Dallas. And everybody's taking pictures outside the windows of the plane, but you can't see it through the windows. Like, we're all looking out there, and then the pilot comes on a few minutes later, and everybody's like, we don't see it, we don't see it. He's like, take a picture with your phone, it shows up better. And every time you take an iPhone, stick it out there. And then people on the plane were all showing this beautiful aurora borealis. But people really could see it. I'm not sure about the elevation or whatever, but for some reason, none of us could really see it that well. But people all around the country were on the ground taking pictures of this aurora borealis. And everybody thought it was this natural phenomenon. It wasn't. The very next day, we went and did this big, huge program. NexRad did this experiment. And that includes all those big Doppler radar things you see for meteorology, right? Every news meteorologist in every local town is like, we have the greatest, most advanced Doppler radar system ever. And they show that big white ball. And everybody's like, oh, thank God, you can predict all of our weather. Those Doppler radars, that is a part of this NexRad system. So they can literally charge all the electricity in the air. They can pump out trillions of electrons. And they show you they did a test with NexRad that they had never done before. In that exact time frame, all the aurora borealis was being seen, and all you were told by the media it was natural. No, they created it. They used that technology to actually control the weather. And Lyndon B. Johnson said in a commencement speech in the 70s that we as a country now control the weather, and the country that controls the weather controls the world. You might want to look at, if you see a day where you're like, how come everybody's sick in my practice all of a sudden? How come everybody's sick in my neighborhood? How come everybody in my family is sick? You need to go to NexRad. Look up NexRad and go, what test did they do today or yesterday or last night or while I was sleeping? And you're going to see the whole United States, and you're going to see they're going to show you this time lapse of when they turned them all on at maximum capacity all at once for hours. In their documents, they say, the Department of Energy, that they should never pulse those for longer than like 10 seconds at a time. And they did it on that aurora borealis day for 9 hours straight. And they published why you shouldn't run it that long. Because it can cause neurotoxicity, death, heart attacks. Heart attacks is the number one thing. Palpitations, arrhythmias, high blood pressure, hypertension, strokes. I mean, you see it all. So they are using energy weapons. We call them directed energy weapons. And the EMFs that we are all exposed to from our devices absolutely contribute to it. So I want to explain this to you. The snake venom aspect of what I've known about worldwide, what brought Dr. Group out of retirement was, he said if Dr. Ardis is right about the snake venom stuff with COVID and everybody has venom inside of them, it has to be connected to the transhumanistic Internet of Things. I'm going to say a few things that make up the Internet of Things. The MIT and our Department of Defense and DARPA all own this technology. It's called smart dust and quantum dots. Smart dust, they actually say, is little microchips the size of dust particles, and it actually is air fluid. They just release them in the air, and you'll inhale them, and they say within minutes of it entering into your body, it'll go into your lungs when you inhale it. It'll go right into your bloodstream. It can circulate and get to your brain, actually, because your blood-brain barrier has been so damaged by cosmetics and chemicals and injections called polysorbate 80. They know anything they get inside of you will go right into your brain. And they state that with those smart dust technology, when you inhale this dust, which you didn't consent to, and they've already been spreading it all over the world for years, they said the Department of Defense and DARPA says we can actually send a high-frequency signal from these 5G towers that will tell you, the microchip will send a frequency that tells the individual to kill themselves. So this is why Group, in 2018, Dr. Group, was so threatened with his life, literally death threats. He actually was confiscated like in a movie. Somebody put a bag over his head, threw him into a car, drove him to a building, and threatened him with his life if he didn't stop talking. And that's why he disappeared. Until I came out with the venom stuff, because all he wanted to know is there an aspect of the venom that impacts the transgender Internet of Things, making us a part technology, part human? And he looked it up, and what he found was all these studies by the Department of Energy, Department of Defense, and DARPA for the last 30 years where they are exposing human cells to snake venom. And when snake venom touches the outside of the cell, it changes the electrical current around the cell. It's called a voltage gate potential. And what happens is it says it changes the membrane structure of the cell. And so instead of the cell being actually like this, and there's a wall around a castle, you have the wall around the inside of your nucleus of your cell, the brain of your cell, and all the mitochondria, all the good stuff in there. You have this barrier called a phospholipid bilayer. It's the cell membrane wall. Snake venom goes like this. When it attaches to the cell, it changes the electrical flow of energy of the cell, and the cell goes like this. It literally opens the cell membrane wall to make it no longer a double bilipid layer. It's now single. And they have published that it is much easier to get 5G radiation hitting the nucleus of a human cell and killing that cell when you use snake venom to change the electrical circuitry of a cell. And the moment he read that, he was like, oh my God, you've got Operation Warp Speed, there's snake venom in it. You got COVID-19, every spike protein is actually 36 different venoms, by the way, been confirmed by scientists all around the world. It was never a virus, it is venom. And so when they've got all this venom inside of us, however you want to believe they got it, they did it through your water, by the way. They put it in your drinking water and in your shower water. That's how you got sick. There was no 6 feet distance coughing crap. It was all a lie. It absorbs right through your skin, makes you start coughing. You inhale it, swallow it in your water, you're drinking it out of your tap or out of your sink, you're getting it. Charcoal filters in your fridge do not remove venom, and they know it. And anyway, so we presented how they did it in all of our water supplies and in your ice at restaurants and in hotels and in airplanes. I'm not joking. The venom was needed for the COVID-19 warp speed operation and to assist the success of the SARS intoxication of your body, SARS, the EMF damage to your cells through the Operation Telecommunications. They needed both to make you sick and compliant so that you would actually go like this. Hi, I like your Home Depot apron. You want to give me a COVID-19 shot here in the parking lot? And boy, did millions of you do it. So it worked, okay? Their experiment worked. They got 5 billion people to fall for it, actually. There ain't 5 billion people falling for it anymore, but they did. So these EMFs are traumatic. EMFs they are using, and we're exposed to them all the time. So what's the key to success to preventing the damage from EMFs? And just so y'all know, every EMF actually contributes to accelerating cancer growth. Oh, I can't say that. Cancer something growth. Canker sores. It affects canker sores growth. And you get canker sores on your ovaries, canker sores in your uterus, prostate, cancer sores in your brain, canker sores in your heart, kidneys, liver, all of them, testicles. So now I'm going to talk to you about something because technology makes up a lot of our life. There has never been more people diagnosed with cancer than right now. The fastest growing cancer right now is called a glioblastoma. What type of tumor is that? Brain tumor. The average time from diagnosis to death before COVID was 4 to 6 months. Do you know what it is now for someone with a glioblastoma? It's like 4 to 6 weeks. And it's happening in 20-year-olds, college kids all over the country are developing brain tumors, having migraines, getting diagnosed and dead in 4 weeks. 23-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds. This is unprecedented. Well, I just want to explain something to you. If you're not paying attention to what we're educating you and everybody around the world, during the pandemic while we were locked down and told to stay in our homes, do you know what our government was funding? Researchers all around the world to go into labs and do injections of all the venoms that they found in every COVID patient, and they were studying what does it do inside the human body and how fast. And I found a study in 2021 where they were paying scientists to take king cobra venom and cone snails out of the ocean that are venomous, take that venom, both of which were found in every COVID-19 patient. They injected them into mammals, and in 72 hours, they could grow a glioblastoma. And they have the electron microscopy evidence, the pictures, the photographs. This is what the cells of the brain look like now after 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, and they show you the pictures of the growth of the tumor. What you weren't told is that when they did that study, they were also told to test just one thing to see if it would actually dissolve that tumor in the same time period of 72 hours. Anybody want to guess what that thing was? Nicotine. They then took 2 doses of nicotine, and they wanted to know, does either one of these nicotine doses actually dissolve that tumor? And they found the higher dose of nicotine dissolved it in 72 hours or less, by half. And then the researchers were told to cancel the study at 72 hours. Is that weird to you? Okay, if you put yourself in the researcher's position, okay? You are being paid to inject venom, and you're like, what the heck? We just created a brain tumor in 72 hours, in 3 days, that is impacting this mammal's whole life and function. And then these scientists are being paid, your job is to take 2 doses of nicotine and let's see what happens. If I was the scientist, I'd be like this, what kind of dumb ass study is this? Would any of you have ever thought, let's try that as a solution for this problem we just created? I would have never thought of this. But if I was the scientist, and as a research scientist, you love studies, and you want to see what happens with the study. Like, does it work? Does it not work? If it works, don't you want to see how far it works? Wouldn't you be fascinated to see? Could you imagine being told to now inject 2 doses of nicotine, and in 72 hours you find one of those doses has shrunk it by half, only to be notified, you have to cancel the study now? Do you know that in the summary of the paper that any medical doctor possibly would find, they aren't going to find it because I'm the only one that found it and told them all 3 years later, that study was published in a medical journal called Marine Toxins. Marine means ocean. Well, how many medical doctors do you think are looking into medical journals about marine life health problems? They're not, but they were not studying the effects of king cobra venom and cone snail venom in marine life. They were injecting it inside of mammals, which you are. They put the study in a ocean animal medical journal. How many medical doctors do you think are going to go look there? They aren't. So they put it there, and then they injected nicotine, and in 72 hours it started dissolving. They're then told you have to cancel the study. I've shared that all over the world. This is not a joke. There are now cancer institutes all over the world using nicotine to help people with glioblastomas. And that is very, very exciting. This all is about EMFs, by the way. I know it doesn't sound like it, but now I'm about to explain it to you. Because the reality is, you all are now more sensitive to EMFs than ever before because you all were exposed to venoms. Anybody in here ever have a symptom of COVID? Ever test positive for COVID? Ever? Did you have any symptoms? Nobody in here? Wow, y'all all missed it? Honey, this whole group of people, nobody got it. How come you got it? Jen got it for 2 years. She struggled with issues that 3 days of nicotine gum cured. So they exposed everybody to venom, and all of you are now, 12 to 14 years, you will have venom in your body that now makes every organ that venom gets inside of more susceptible to EMFs. So what is the fix? You're not going to be throwing away your Teslas I see outside. You're not going to be throwing away your laptops. You're not going to be throwing away your cell phones. You still want to watch Live 360 with your kids wherever they go. Holy cow, could you imagine? I don't know about y'all. I would be totally annoyed if I was tracking my kids' every whereabouts. Is he in the gym at the high school right now? Is he at the locker room right now? Is he in his class right now? Man, I'm not doing that. Okay, but some parents love that stuff. That's great, y'all go do it. Now, what they're going to do in Houston is what they're going to do with you. In Houston, what did they just make an ordinance for the entire county that makes up Houston? They just made it illegal to own a dog at all that isn't microchipped. And they slate it as you're going to be fined, punished if you don't do it, but you will be able to always track your dog and know where it is at all times. And do you know what the next phase will be after those people buy into this idea? You know how helpful this would be if you took your whole family of 5 kids to Six Flags? Or to a football game? Or a national park? Do you know how great it would be to microchip your kids so you can track it? You see the benefit with your dog. No, this is what they're doing. So how do you handle the EMFs you're being bombarded with every day that makes you sick, makes you create canker sores all over your body? How do we handle it? What is the solution to EMFs? Now, just so you know, EMFs are exposure to devices that supply a field to your body, called SARS, that is alternating current. You ever heard of AC/DC? The band? Okay. AC/DC is alternating current, direct current. So the earth and all of its magnetic fields runs on direct current. So does your body. All devices that provide EMFs, it's alternating current, and it throws off your heart, which is electrical's rhythm. So if you're exposed to EMFs, guess what you'll get when you get alternating current? It's burst, stop, burst, stop, burst, stop. This is alternating current. Direct current is just continuous current. So if you're getting stimulation, no stimulation, stimulation, no stimulation to your heart from EMF, cell phone, iPad, computer, what's going to happen to your heart rhythm? It will become erratic. What are they calling it now? Give me some medical terms for it. AFib. What else? Tachycardia, bradycardia, arrhythmias. I mean, okay, you have to understand this is what they're doing to you. And then what are you going to do? You're going to go to your cardiologist, and they're going to go like this. Oh, I see you do have these complaints. Okay, we're going to have you wear a heart monitor for the next week. We're going to look at your scans. Oh, my God, you do have arrhythmias. But I also looked at your intake form, and it's because your grandma had arrhythmias. You inherited this. And they're going to put you on drugs, never telling you the real truth. And the truth is, they don't know and they don't care to know. It'd be awesome if the doctors cared enough to find out what was going on with you and ask a few questions. Where are you at during the day when this blip happens? I have a best friend right now who literally had to wear a heart monitor for like 7 days. You know what he realized? He has an electronic new recliner, and it only happens while he's sitting on that recliner watching his TV. But he only knew that from looking at the time frame on the thing. His doctor didn't ask him, why is it between 9 and 10 all of the arrhythmias and AFib shows up? Wouldn't it be great to ask another question? All right, so how do you fix the problem? We're all going to be bombarded with EMFs. All of us. If you drove here, you went past tons of 5G towers and you were exposed to EMFs. So how do you handle it? The key is this. They publish it, the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense states this. For human beings that are exposed to SARS, specific energy absorption rate from EMFs, the only way to keep them healthy is to make sure they are grounding for more hours than they are exposed to that technology. So, what is grounding? Put your feet in the grass. Put your feet in the dirt. Hug a freaking tree. Actually, do you know hugging another human is grounding? It actually does ground you. Okay, so let me give you what grounding is, because I've had to learn this over the last 2 years. I personally do not like being barefoot. In fact, I don't even like seeing toes of other people. In fact, if I was in high school and Birkenstocks were really popular, and any person, I don't care how cute the girl might have been, it all becomes gross when I see their toes. Like, cover that up. I don't need to see it. Nobody needs to see those little phalanges. It just looks creepy and weird to me. I got it from my mom, I know, because she's the same way. I wake up, my favorite thing to do first thing in the morning after I shower is to put socks and shoes on. In fact, I'd put jeans on over my shoes if I could, because I'd rather have those on first. So, if I don't like being barefoot and I'm not going to ground that way, I'm definitely not going out in public in a park or a beach and want to be barefoot. I'd rather wear tennis shoes on the beach. I just don't like being barefoot. So, how are we going to ground ourselves for longer periods? Anybody out there want to stand on the grass longer than you're in front of a laptop, Tesla screen, computers, TV at night when you're binge watching, whatever? You have to ground for more hours a day than you're on technology. That's the only way they say you can do it. One of the easiest ways is to actually sleep on a bed that has a grounding mat plugged into an outlet, or to put a grounding sheet over that mat or on your bed and plug it into your outlet. Now, when I say this, you all heard earlier that outlets could be a source. I ain't talking about the 3 prongs. You know, 3 prongs on an outlet looks like 2 eyes and a face, or smile, or whatever, nose. Those 2 eyelets, those are the ones that get power. The middle one, the little one by itself, that's attached to a copper wire that goes where? It's supposed to be going into the ground, and that's the only place it goes. So when you insert the little plug-in for your grounding mats and grounding sheets, it only goes into that little hole that's attached to a copper wire that goes into the earth. And all of your homes, every building, has to be inspected to make sure it is grounded correctly. So you just find which outlets. Some homes are different outlets in different rooms. Some are grounded. Some, if you have a horrible contractor, they didn't ground the outlet. So you'll plug it in. The devices, the sheets and the grounding mats for your bed actually has a little device where you plug it in every outlet and it will light up green when you know you have a correctly grounded outlet. When you plug that in and sleep on it, which Jane and I do every night and have for a year now when we figured this stuff out, our dreams are better, our sleep is better. I just want y'all to know something about Dr. Ardis. He loves staying up late, loves it, and he loves sleeping in. I am not one of these Tony Robbins, get up at 4, jump in a cold shower, cold plunge. Oh, heck no. There ain't nothing about that sounds like anything but torture to me, so I ain't doing it, and I ain't never done it, and I don't want to do it. So, well, actually, I have had to do it because I have to fly to all these countries at 3 a.m., so we're doing those presentations, but I don't want to get up. I like sleeping in. Since we had the grounding mat put on our bed, grounding sheet put on our bed, not a joke, when the sun comes up, I wake up. And I'm just laying there, holding Jane, and after about an hour of my brain not turning off and all the stuff I want to go research and study and help the world with, I tell her I'm getting up, and she goes, already? Yes, already. I can't shut it off. I'm already awake. And it's been that way the whole time. Sleep's never been better. Energy's never been better. Dreams have never been incredible as they are right now. And what's happening all night long while you're grounding, whether you're on a beach, on your back, in a park, in the grass, skin's got to be on it, feet's on the grass or on the sand. The earth is sending electrons into your body. What the alternating current does is remove electrons from you. The earth is giving you energy to make everything your body needs, which is running on direct current anyway. Now that you take yourself out of an alternating current state, put yourself on the sand with bare feet, now you become a part of a direct current the whole Mother Earth is creating. You go hug a tree, that tree's got roots into the earth that are receiving all that electrical energy into your body. You hug your wife or kids, they hopefully have grounded at some point in that day. You hug them, you get their electrons, it helps balance you out too. There is a free EMF guide we created that includes the source of the mats I use, the grounding sheets that we use, and I mean, I don't know about y'all, but many people are probably on their devices longer than 8 hours a day, some people. But hopefully you're sleeping 7 to 8 hours a day, and at least it's an opportunity to get grounding without interrupting your life. You're already sleeping, hopefully, every day. Go lay down on the grounding mat. You should also have grounding mats under your computer, grounding mats underneath your feet while you're at work, and you can actually ground yourself to all the electronics. You're sitting in your cubicle working all day long. You can actually ground yourself the whole day. As long as you're grounding more than the time you're being exposed to radiation, called EMFs, you won't get canker sores from EMFs. Got it? Any man out there ever had testicular canker sores? Sounds gross. Sounds like that might hurt. Just kidding. All right, so at healingfortheages.com, I think they've got a link here and they're going to give out to you. There's a free EMF guide. There is nothing to buy, nothing to do. It's all free, and we give you all the links and all the technologies we use to keep ourselves free of as much EMF SARS toxicity as we can. Okay? So that's at healingfortheages.com. The link is there for the free EMF guide. You download it. It literally has the links, how we use it, what devices you want to have, what mat you want to use, blah, blah, blah. You'll get it. All right, so that is the connection to COVID, Operation Warp Speed, Operation Telecommunications, your health, your future life, because do you think the technology is slowing down? Do you think there's less devices coming in the future? No. No, their goal is to make you 100% trackable wherever you are, and I'm not joking, Rice University here in Texas, you should look these up. They claim, they have tons of videos online, you can watch it. Scientists and engineers at Rice University own the technology. They said they have created what are called nano cars and nano submarines that are so small you can put 100,000 of them on top of a pinhead. And they say, and they tell you right there, they show you what they look like and what they do with them. They said they can drive these through your body like remote control cars and drive them wherever they want through your bloodstream and then park it at a cancer cell and inject that cancer cell with drugs. They're telling you this is the next future for treatment of cancer. Okay, how are they going to be controlling these little electronic devices, do you think? They actually say with the biometrics, with these little submarines, these little nano cars that they can control, they've got to get the tech inside of you. They've already put up the infrastructure to make sure it works. 5G towers and your cell phones. And they use a technology from your cell phones, laptops, your LED lights. I'm not joking. Anybody got a whole bunch of LED lights in your home? Took out all your incandescent lights? Did you see Biden made in August of last year it illegal to buy incandescent lights in America now? Thomas Edison should be screaming. It was like the greatest invention ever. And now it's illegal to buy them in America, and you can only buy LED lights. You know what LED lights that incandescent lights don't do? They produce a light called blue light. And if you look at a package at Home Depot or Lowe's or Walmart, look at an LED light bulb that you want to put in your house, turn it around, you will see an FCC warning. Nope. It actually says this contains an antenna that is and can be influenced with radio waves transmissions. They can control every LED light bulb you put in your home, and they can magnify how much blue light it puts out. And in every single case, when you study nanotech in the human body, graphene oxide, making you the Internet of Things, they say they need blue light to activate it all. So now you have cell phones that put off a blue light. In fact, if I show you my phone right now, it will look like an orange screen to you. Do you see that? It looks like it's orange. That's because I turned off all the blue light that my phone emits. There's a way to turn it off, and we taught everybody at the Healing for the Ages 1.0 how to turn that off. Then we taught people how to turn it off on their laptops, turn it off on their TVs. Any smart device, you can turn them off. I just want you to know they're using technology. Oh, have y'all heard about the street lights? There's some of them coming up here in Dallas, and there's all over LA, all over New York. People the last 2 years are like, why are they changing out all the street lights to this purple blue hue light? Tons of people are writing about it. Why are all cities converting their lights that are incandescent to LEDs with solar panels on top, and they emit a blue light? Anybody heard of the 15-minute cities? Have you heard of these? They already started them in Canada, where you will only be allowed to go 15 minutes from your residence, and you will be locked into a 15-minute travel cage, like you're a farm animal in a cage. And there is an effort of all governments around the world to do that here in America, Canada, UK, New Zealand, we're going to actually contain all of you into cages. You don't realize it, but that's what they've already done with the countries and their borders. They've literally trapped you in here, and you can't get out without my permission. And where are you going? I just want to go to the Philippines on vacation. Great. You got to go get a passport. We have to be able to track you, watch where you're going, and make sure you come back. Return to the farm. It's like releasing pigeons in the morning. They're going to come back at 5 p.m. and get fed. We got little tracking devices on them. We'll find them. Anyway, this is the world you live in. This is what Dr. Ardis is dedicated to, is to try to help you navigate this crazy, insane world that they are pummeling you with massive amounts of confusion, fear, anxiety, panic. And the truth is, life isn't really that scary. They're trying to make you afraid. They want you anxious. They want you confused. They want to bombard you with so much information you have no idea what action steps to take next, because when you're given too much information, what does a human being do? If there's too many options, what happens to the person? It's an actual physical known thing in the human brain. You give a human being too many options, guess what happens? They don't know what to choose, so what happens? They don't. So they're like, I could do this, or I could do this, or I could do this, I could do this. I mean, how many different protocols did you hear about COVID to save your life? Zinc, quercetin, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. Go get your remdesivir at the hospital. Go get COVID-19 vaccines. And then everybody's watching this stuff, and every day you got these more options. And what did the majority of people do, actually? Nothing. And then what happened? They all wanted an authority figure to tell them what to do, because they couldn't figure it out on their own. And this is when everybody went like this. Well, what is Fauci saying to do? Okay, I guess I'll wear a mask and stand 6 feet apart. Oh, wait, I'm on a college campus, and he literally just said, not a joke. Did y'all remember this in 2021? He came out one morning, he goes, you know what, we're thinking about restricting or changing the social distance rule from 6 feet to 3 feet on college campuses. Now, I didn't know he said this, And it was my first interview on Newsmax, live with an MD. And they decided to ask me what my thoughts were about Anthony Fauci's announcement this morning. We're gonna reduce social distancing for people on college campuses to 3 feet instead of 6. And they asked me what I thought about that. And I said, did he really say that? Yes. I said, I didn't know he said that. Did he really say that? This is actually how I was talking. Did they really say that? Did he really say that? Yeah, he really said that. Then they pulled it up on the screen so I could see it. And I'm like, you really want to know what I think about that? Yes. I said, well, personally, I'd rather ask you, what do you think about that? But I'll answer you. Did you know that in 2016, they actually studied nanoparticle sizes, the size of SARS-CoV-2's measurement? Scientists did, physicists did, and they ran a test to see, are these particles air fluid? Anybody know what air fluid means? Gravity doesn't affect it, it's so small. So you can drop this particle in the air and it just sits there and floats around, and wherever the wind takes it, it goes. So in 2016, these physicists are studying how far do these particles the size of a coronavirus, how far do they travel in the air? And they set up parameters with a little fan, and they wanted to measure how far it went, and the end point for their testing was 26 feet. And they released the particles, and they all traveled in the air, never fell to the earth, and went way past 26 feet. And then they said, okay, well, I guess it goes 26 feet. So I'm looking at the Newsmax thing, and I think, so I just want you to know, if Anthony Fauci said we need to stand 6 feet apart, what do you think I think about that recommendation when physicists already figured out it goes at least 26 feet just a few years ago? And they looked at each other, and they went like this, oh my God, I guess we need to be standing 26 feet apart. I literally just said it went past 26 feet, and they stopped testing it because it kept going. Just so y'all know, they've done this test since then. They've actually tracked it for 13 miles over buildings, around skyscrapers, and it just keeps going. So I said, well, now that you know the truth about what science has actually confirmed, I would like you to tell me, where did Anthony Fauci get his data to make a claim that these particles probably on college campuses only go 3 feet or less? They went like this, holy crap, I think he's making it up. Yes, he's making up everything. He's just making up crap. Just saying. All right, so be prepared. Grounding is important. You've got to start putting that into your life. Technology is not slowing down. They are trying to literally convert all cars to electronic cars. Notice all the GMs, Fords of the world, Dodge, they're all fighting that right now. You notice that? Nobody wants to buy them. Lots of people don't trust them. It's really funny. So now they're actually asking for bailout money and getting reimbursed and stop this rule that we have to convert so many X amount of cars into electric cars. It's actually a good idea to not do that to everything. So I just want you to know it's coming hard. It's coming fast. Please consider grounding and learn about grounding. These smart cities, by the way, there's a reason why it's literally these 15 minutes. They literally have actually drawn them all up, and they're already building them. 100% of the land mass of these 15-minute cities are concreted. So you're not grounded to the earth. But tons of technology to run these cities. So I just want you to know this is a real serious problem that everybody should be considering, something most people are not talking about. We have been on top of this the whole time because my brain can't stop asking why. And now because I ground, it does it even longer every single day. I have more times of like, why? Oh my God, I got to help people make sense of this world. All right, so please, for the love of God, there's a book. You see it up on the screen? If y'all haven't ordered this book yet, it's on pre-sales right now. It actually will start shipping, I believe, in the next week or two. I have a few copies here. They're going to be given away as prizes. But I have to say something, and I've said it all over the world so far about this book. If you buy one, buy a second one. Who do you think I want you to give it to? Your medical doctor, your chiropractor, your acupuncturist, your hairdresser, your nail salon person, whoever is seeing and serving other people, who's listening to a whole bunch of people complain all day long about their problems, please get them a copy of this book, because everything that is in the book has been censored from all of their eyes, ears, and senses. So get an extra one and give it to the people who are trying to help people make sense of their symptoms. They're not going to get this anywhere else. I'm very, very excited. I do want to say something. So I released this book. I was asked to write this book. I didn't want to write a book. I like speaking and presenting. I don't like writing. I hate writing. I spent 8 months putting this thing together, and it was like pulling teeth out of my body by myself with a pair of pliers, trying to sit down and do this thing. But I did it because people told me that it was going to be very important. I said, nobody wants to talk about COVID anymore. I don't. Do y'all want to read or talk about COVID anymore? Let that whole crap go. I don't want to hear about it no more. Put it in my peripheral. I don't even want to see it. But I wrote the book because millions around the world are struggling with symptoms. All the answers are in this book. All of them. In fact, I tell you in chapter 15, medical doctors, what medical tests to run, what medical tests to order, where to send it to what labs to confirm which venom proteins are there, and what the drugs are that are proven to actually break it down and destroy it faster, so you don't have to be sick for 14 years to 12 years. And then I tell you all the natural solutions, homeopaths, herbs, minerals, vitamins that are also proven, research-backed to save your life. So I did it. I launched a pre-sale campaign 3 weeks ago. The person I hired as a publisher happens to be a Dr. Ardis follower of our show for the last 4 years, loves everything we do. This person's like, will you let me, instead of just putting these on your website, will you let me put these on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million? Will you let me do a hybrid model? And I was like, of course. I said, if you want to know what I want you to look at the title. The biggest words are COVID-19 lies. And I was intentional. I said, you better make that as big as you can on that cover. Because I imagine walking through airports and seeing bookstores in the airports, Hudson News, whatever, and I want to see my book sitting there, and I want to see how many random people walk by now and go like this, COVID-19 lies. Hell yeah, we were lied to. I want to know how many people actually know they were lied to. I think it's way more people than they want you to believe. And I want to get a sense of how many people are actually awake or want to be awake. So she put it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. When she put it on Amazon, I want to tell you a little story, because this is what you're up against. She's been working with Amazon since Amazon started. She's been in this business for a long time. She submits all the category information about my book. And Amazon sends back their product page and what Amazon executives did to categorize this book the way we requested. When it came back to her, she reviewed it. She wanted to know, where did they do everything we asked them to. They assigned my COVID-19 lies book not where we asked it to be. They put it in the children's category in the specific ages of 6 to 11. And my publisher was supposed to call me that day to tell me Amazon got it all right, it's all set up, we're good to go. And for 3 days, I never heard from her. And it's because she had to work with Amazon to get them to change these designations. That was their attempt to bury the book. How many parents do you think are looking for a COVID-19 book in the children's section for 6 to 11-year-olds? This is their attempt to do it and censor it, okay? They're all trying to do it. Well, she fought with them for 3 days. They finally put it up and did it correctly because we caught them in their little scheme. And I want you to know what happened in 1 week. I never told anybody it was on Amazon also. I only told people it's on pre-sale on my website. It's on Amazon by itself. No one told anybody. And within 1 week, authors from around the world were texting me the changes per hour of my rankings of this book on Amazon. And in 1 week, 3 weeks ago, it hit number 1 in the vaccine category. For some context, there's 30 million books for sale on Amazon, just so you know. In order to break the ranking of the top 100,000 books being sold, that is the top 2% of all books sold on Amazon, to break the top 100,000 ranking of 30 million books. In the first week, I was number 1 in the vaccine category over RFK Jr.'s book on Anthony Fauci. I was number 1 in health, all categories of health. Of all medical books considered medical on Amazon, I'm number 2. We broke the top 100, not 100,000. We broke the top 100. Then we broke the top 50. Then we broke the top 20, and we hit number 13 in the first week. Just so y'all know, I only bought 10,000 books because I didn't think anybody wanted them. And I just found out this week that Amazon has requested orders of 21,600 books a week from me. Jane, in the last 7 days, have we ordered 100,000 books? Yes. And they will be here by October 18th. So anyway, if y'all want to know what I sent to Amazon to get this thing posted, it was 2,000 books. They've already sold 55,000, just so you know. So I am really excited to see how does this get to people? How does it impact the world? Because they are going to keep pummeling you What did you see last week? Monkeypox, equine virus, West Nile virus. They're going to blame it on every animal, every insect, and the whole reason why they keep doing that, they're going to keep telling you about animals. It's animals, it's animals, it's animals, it's insects, blah, blah, blah. I did this with Diamond and Silk on our show the other day. Anybody know Diamond and Silk? I said, Silk, when you and Diamond were kids, did you ever get busted for something in your house? And when your parents approached you and asked you if you did it, did you ever go, it wasn't me, it was Diamond? And she goes, oh my God, I can think of 1,000 times. She did it to me, I did it to her. And I went, this is what the government's freaking doing with all of these viral outbreaks. They are telling you it's not us, it's a raccoon dog, it's a bat, it's a insect, it's a mosquito, it's equine horses. Oh, really? Bird flu, they just said, is now being found in porpoises and killer whales in the ocean. Let me explain to you something. In 2008, they published the only way a human can get a bird flu respiratory virus is they have to inhale, you have to inhale the blood of a bird into your lungs. You have to inhale the feathers into your lungs, or you have to inhale the dried poop of a bird into your lungs. That is the only way humans get it. The only way you get bird flu is to inhale bird poop, bird blood, or bird feathers into the lungs of you or any other mammal. But they just published that dolphins and killer whales are now being diagnosed with bird flu. I have to explain to you why you cannot fall for that. They literally have used fluoride and vaccines for years to dumb us down. Thank God I never got them as an adult, and I don't have fluoride in my water. It's great. In order for you to believe that killer whales in the ocean and porpoises now have the bird flu, you have to believe that when that porpoise or killer whale came to the surface of the water and exhaled their air and then inhaled into their blowhole, a seagull literally had to be 6 feet over it, coughing into him as he inhaled. Or they inhaled the whole bird to get the blood and the feathers and the poop and the intestines into his lungs. This is the ridiculousness they keep telling you, and people keep falling for it. What they are trying to convince you now with bird flu affecting cows is they want you to see that animals are spreading it to other animals, and now it's getting to the farmers. It's definitely getting to you. It's never happened in life. They are poisoning the cows, they're poisoning the porpoises, they're poisoning the dolphins, and then they're testing them and telling them they have the bird flu, and then they're going to blame it on a bird. Stop falling for that crap. I actually just destroyed all belief systems about you need a vaccine to cure anything, ever, or a drug, even an antibiotic. I destroyed that whole narrative at the Healing for the Ages on Saturday. I actually showed every cell in the human body that's considered an immune cell, and I actually showed video evidence of every cell God put inside of you called T cells, B cells, macrophages, white blood cells, dendritic cells, neutrophils, how they literally swim through your body tracking down bacteria trying to get away from it. You actually watched it. It's genius. You have cells in your body God gave you, and guess what EMFs do to those cells in your bone marrow? Destroys their ability to produce them. Please ground. Please take care of your health. You got to get out of your own way and stop poisoning yourself, intoxicating yourself with EMFs, poisons, venoms, vaccines, drugs, you name it, because it's suppressing your immune systems. It makes you more easily to get sick, and then it's easier to sell you an idea that they have the solution and you need the government. You don't. I'm Dr. Ardis. I love you. God bless you. And I'm done. Go eat something. All right.